Welcome back to Volvo Ocean Race Race Control here in the headquarters in Alicante, Spain. We are here to welcome the fleet to the finish line of leg 7. It's been more than 9 days and almost 3,000 miles, but it's actually feeling like a relatively short leg compared to the previous legs of the Volvo Ocean Race. I have with me Annie Lush of Team SCA, and the racing has gotten quite interesting just now. They're getting into Lisbon. There was plenty of breeze, and now what's happened?
Yeah, I think they were all going along at 20 knots when we, about 10 minutes ago when we were looking, and now they're really slowing down. It looks like there's been a big shift to the right, so they're now having to go upwind into the river, and Brunel and Mapfre have almost stopped. So there's a lot of race left in this still.
Here you can see there was a traffic separation scene they sailed around earlier. And then the yellow line at the bottom is Team Brunel. Only 1 nautical mile behind them is Mapfre, but Team Brunel is only doing about 0.5 knots or 0 knots. And as Annie just said, they're going upwind now. The Tidal River is known for having strong current, hence the anchoring. What do we know about the tide there today?
I think in about an hour the tide should be slack or sort of starting to turn. So hopefully that will help the boats to get in and finish.
It might be what's screwing them up right now. The negative numbers never looks good for Team Brunel.
No, negative numbers are never good. And also, this river has, I'm sure it all doesn't apply to the model, so I'm sure there will be more current in some areas than others, and the guys are going to have to figure out where that is.
And it's interesting, Mapfre still has 4 knots here, so they are definitely closing the gap to Team Brunel. Dongfeng race team only 1 mile behind Mapfre, so we saw a bit of an extension yesterday in that speed drag race, but we are definitely seeing compression and a park up here. Let's see if we can catch in with Team Brunel and hear just how brutal it is. Rokas, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, Rokas just left the building. Now it's Stefan. He's back to the cockpit because they need him really. It's really close sailing. So actually nobody wants to talk right now. They're really focused. So I'm waiting in a bow.
Oh, but that's okay. You can talk to us, Stefan.
Yeah, I'm not a sailor. I'm only the OBR, so it's not my duty to talk to you guys.
The tall Dutch
Stefan,
voice
you should
is Stefan.
make them some coffee.
I have Annie Lush with me, Stefan. She's saying they might need some caffeine.
But it's close racing. It's very, very exciting. And actually, we hope that we have 20 knots into the finish line, and suddenly, just before the finish, the wind drops down. So it's very shitty, actually.
Do you know, were the guys, were they expecting this park up? I know yesterday they were talking about in the past how it's happened, but was KP actually calling for it as well?
Adam has some better memories in here because he was with camper and then he got passed on Telefonica just before the finish. So yeah, maybe we jinxed a little bit. That is shitty in here. Right now there's no breeze, so we parked and we see some green lights coming up on the horizon. It's Mapfre and Dongfeng. So they're coming closer.
Can you see your speedo from where you are? Because we have some interesting numbers showing on our tracker of the speeds you're doing.
I think it's enough. We need a victory.
Fair enough. Very much so. At least we want the victory.
Yeah. We want a victory. I want to get drunk tonight, so there must be a reason for that.
Can you see any wind at all, anywhere?
No, not so much wind. I'm not a sailor. I only a VO guy, so maybe that's breeze.
How's the mood been on board, though, for the past 2 days? I mean, basically, you pulled into the lead and then were able to actually pull out some miles yesterday to have an 8-mile lead.
I didn't notice anything because they wind me up on the stack because I cannot talk to them because I'm distracting them all the time. So they put me on the stack and I've been there for 2 days, 2 nights. So I didn't saw anything.
Come on, how can you cook from the stack?
They're very fast inside, cook spaghetti and then back to the stack again. That's why you saw no pictures coming in. Yeah, that's a shitty job.
What did Rokas have to do when he went back to the cockpit? What is he up to right now?
Yeah, they try to change the side of the front sail, so we're just constantly changing on port and starboard and hoping for a small breeze. So that's why he's necessary. He's our muscle man, so he's grinding right now.
And how close does it look like Mapfre is behind you? Can you see?
Don't talk about that. Make me nervous. I'm really a stressy guy, so you make me nervous.
Are you superstitious, Stefan?
No, yeah, for sure. I'm wearing the same socks the whole leg.
You're wearing what socks?
The same socks and the same underwear. Oh, it has nothing to do with superstitious. Just because I like that.
We heard from Bauer himself about the number of pairs of underwear he thinks should be on board for each leg. Can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, we want to be light, so we bring no underwear.
No underwear for the light. Actually, I think they are by far the lightest boat of your legs, so maybe that's all because of Bauer holding off.
No socks, no underwear.
Yeah. Knut, are
Hey, I
you
think
still with us on the line?
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm still listening. I'm listening to you. Hi, Stefan. How are you?
Yeah, good.
It's
Good.
good, sir.
Nervous.
I'm looking. I'm sitting. I'm the boat just behind you, so I'm
Good.
sitting 10
Cheers.
meters away from you.
Knut, I expect you to support us now, Knut? Seriously. I want you to support us now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not allowed to do something special. I could of course move the finish line out there, but it's a little bit unfair now, I think.
Maybe we can blow a little bit.
Oh, we can make a deal, huh? We can always make a deal, you know.
Thanks for
you have to tell Bowie I have Jan Ari with me, the CEO of Brunel, so he's next to me. So
Oh, really?
he also wants to make a deal. He wants to have the finish line here now.
And he's nervous as well, I think. I know him a little bit.
Maybe if you
Yes,
and the
it's-
CEO can just exhale large amounts, Knut, that might help them. Does it make you more
Exactly.
nervous, Stefan, knowing who's on the boat behind you?
No. Knut was even nervous, but Jan Ari makes me nervous, maybe.
Was that Dutch?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I don't hear you so much because they're yelling.
Okay. I said, does it make you more nervous knowing the CEO's on the boat behind you?
Oh, yeah. No, Knut makes me nervous, actually.
Okay, and Knut. Our CEO and your CEO, that's great.
Yeah, the two big bosses.
All right, Stefan, well, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll check back in with you soon,
Yep.
but maybe not that soon. We'll hope for a
Find
breeze
some
for all
wind.
of you guys.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for your time.
Good luck. Ciao.
Oh.
Knut, how's the CEO of Team Brunel taking this right now? It must be nail-biting experience for him.
Well, I can tell you there's still no win. The interesting thing, I mean, I can even hear Bowie talking. He's just hoisting another sail. I think he's actually hoisting his J3, I think, inside the Code Zero. So he's hoisting a smaller jib. And that's probably just that it's a better wind seeker, a better sail to feel the wind. When there's no wind, you can't have a too big sail. It's too heavy. It's too many kilos of sailcloth to move. So they just hoisted that smaller jib. I'm a little bit behind them, so it's hard to see. And they're trying to feel a little bit of wind. But I can hear the talking. I can hear the tension in the voices. They are nervous. They are so nervous. And honestly, you're looking behind you and you can see these two green lights. We can see Dongfeng, we can see Mapfre. And obviously the question is, what are they going to do? So if you were Dongfeng now, you kind of have the best position because you have everything to gain. While Mapfre also has Dongfeng to lose. They have Brunel to win, but Dongfeng to lose. So you could of course go really close to the coast. That's always been an option in these night finishes when there's no wind, and hope for some land breeze. And then you could also gamble that we're all going to be sitting out here for quite a few hours. And then where is the wind going to fill in from, and then set yourself up for that. Right now, Bowie just told the guys to tack again, and he's now setting up for a northerly wind again. My feeling was that we had a northerly wind further in the bay, so that could be a sign that they have just started to feel some wind again. But honestly, they are not moving forward right now. We don't even have to have the engine running on the rib to watch them.
Hey, Knut, it sounds like we actually have a boat that might still have a little bit of wind on the line. We've got Dongfeng race team. I think we have Jan Rio, onboard reporter. Jan, can you hear us? We're seeing Jan, but we're not hearing him. Are you there?
Oh, you don't hear me? 1, 2?
No, perfect. We got you now. How are you guys? I thought maybe you had some wind, but watching your boom drift across above your head, maybe you don't have much wind out there.
No, that's very, very light, and we are still sailing 2 knots, but well, very slow.
What's the strategy? Are you guys trying to go around a certain way to try to get by Mapfre and Brunel in front of you?
You know what? Do you want to ask Charles what
Sure.
he thinks?
Yeah, we'd love to.
Hold on a second, Jenny.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Sounds like they're not changing sails right now. If we're able to just get the headset onto the driver, skipper, Charles Cadralier. Charles, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect. I was just asking Jan if you guys have a strategy to try to get around Brunel and Mapfre. Are you trying to go to the opposite side of the bay from them if and when you do have enough breeze to make those decisions?
We try to go where we can go. We have no choice. We have to follow the light spot, and we will. It's not easy to make a strategy right now, and we just follow.
Oh, I think we've just lost satellite connection with them. We actually were told we might have some satellite issues. This leg, they're basically going into the European satellites, and the satellite angle is directly to the mast and the sails, which are carbon and not helpful to satellite
right now.
signals. Yeah, exactly. Even less helpful. So we might have those issues throughout the night, but hopefully that's the only one. Knut, are you still there? I don't think we have Knut anymore. Fair enough, though, for Charles to say we don't really have any answers. We're
Sorry,
just
I'm
waiting
there.
for breeze.
Yeah, I mean, they've just got to
I'm
try
with
and
you,
go where
I'm
they
with
can
you,
go
Jenny.
now. And keep sailing and just keep trying to find some wind. But I think it's really tricky. We can see there's a bit of a sea state there running, so boom's kind of flapping around, and then, it's a bit of a hard choice as to what sail. Knut said that Brunel have gone for a jib because it's kind of a lighter sail, but if you do get a puff, you want to get back to the masthead zero, so it's always a bit of a game, and it's really tricky when the boat's rolling around so much.
Mark, this is Knut. I'm with him again.
Can you tell us what you know about the tide? We know that the current's meant to change in less than an hour now, but do you know a lot about the shores and the eddies there in the Bay of Lisbon?
No, I'm not local enough to know that, unfortunately. But I know that in pretty much 27 minutes it should turn, and then basically it starts running in again. But it's a pretty. I don't think the bottom of the bay here is very tricky. So there obviously will be some eddies somewhere, but it's more like a beach and a flat surface, I think, on the bottom. But I would put my mouth too full by saying that I know exactly how it works. But obviously it's better for Brunel that they don't have to fight the current in the next after the next half an hour, because that's going to be a setback.
Basically,
right now right now they have tacked again. They're on starboard tack and they're pointing to the beach.
Actually, and what we're currently seeing a vision of the race village, and you can see low tide, as Knut was just saying, should be in half an hour. You can see sort of the water line behind the docks. There's a dark brown line, and then it becomes a lighter line. So it looks like it could be 3 or 4 feet of tide, and it will be, as Knut just said, incoming from here. So are they, fingers crossed that nothing changes until the incoming, and then they'll all sweep in. Is that what Brunel's thinking?
Well, I think that's what they're hoping at least. I think. Right now, they're not going anywhere. I think the good news for them is that it feels like the light area, the sort of no wind area, has grown. It feels like it has. It's not like they have only sailed into less wind. It's like the less wind area has actually, expanded, and it looks to me that Mapfre and Dongfeng parked up as well before Brunel did, because I can see Mapfre from here, and they're not moving very fast. They're not getting any closer to Dongfeng, and if the Dongfeng they're closer to Brunel, and if Brunel had been this slow as Mapfre is right now, they wouldn't have been able to be where they are right now in a long time. So I think Brunel has had a longer ride with wind, which is a big advantage. But the big question is now is where is he going to fill in from? Where is he going to fill in from? And it looks. I'm looking at the jib they have up. They have this. It must be a J3 or J2, and it looks like now there is an offshore breeze filling in here, and that will be something from east northeast somewhere, and they're sailing straight towards the beach now, pretty much heading north, I think, and that's pretty common strategy. That is, if the wind dies completely and you're very close to shore, it could be good to hike the coast and hope to get a little bit of land effect. There's always some thermic effects even at night.
Well, fair enough.
But, and there's quite a few boats out there. The police just showed up with their blue lights.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you, Knut. We're going to let you go for a bit, and then we will check back in with him soon. He was basically just saying it's good to go to shore, but it seems like often we have these park-ups as the fleets get close to land. For you guys, Cape Town, I mean, the move was basically not to be inshore. That was a huge move, much like this. There was a park-up with Mapfre, and then talk us through what happened.
Yeah, I mean, coming into Cape Town, we knew that Table Mountain, would have a big wind shadow behind it, obviously a very big mountain, and it was that sort of, do we go around the outside in more wind or try and take a shortcut underneath the mountain? And once we saw Mapfre going in there, we'd sort of positioned ourselves to be further offshore anyway. And, once they were going inshore, then really that was our option to try. And that time around the outside worked.
It worked,
but,
yeah.
Any moment they could have got a Zephyr through a valley like the other side of Table Mountain, and then the shortcut works. So I think you never really know.
Well, it's a bit like the high on this leg. I mean, the Azores High was essentially the big feature of this leg. And at one point, the weather models were all showing everyone going around it. And then suddenly there was an opening in the middle. And it basically said you can cut through the high. And people were thinking it's not normal to cut through highs. I mean, cut through, still going north of it, but cut through a bit better. And SCA took the route to go around. And it was a bit of a roll of the dice and a gamble. But essentially, it was a gamble that Sam sort of thought they had to take. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think SCA's sort of choice of route also was to do with their position, because the high was moving north. So the sort of further back you were, the worse it was going to get for you as well. So you wanted to go more north. But yeah, I thought that was a great move by the girls. They did close a lot of miles. I think in the end they've probably gained 40, 50 miles in total from that move. And what else are you going to do? Your competition are going through it, and going fast always feels better. I mean, if you have speed, you have options. And if you're stopped, then really you're just kind of hoping.
Yeah.
So that worked for them. It was interesting it didn't work quite so well for Abu Dhabi, I think, and maybe Alba Medica, who sort of went somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. It almost looked like the high had split a little bit, and there were two light patches. One was below the whole fleet. SCA went around both of them, and Alba Medica and Abu Dhabi ended up in a little bit of lighter patch in the middle, which they thought was a safer strategy. But let's talk about Team Brunel. We have a team, and I want to ask Bauer this once we get him online. We have a team with two of the oldest competitors in the race who've done the most miles, and yet on this leg, they actually had 4 under 30s. They have 2 new guys on this leg. They have Adam Minoprio and Timo, I'm horribly going to say his last name, Hagort. Both under 30 brought on, and yet then you have 2 over 50s. How do you think that dynamic is aboard?
Well, I think that's fantastic for the under 30s. I mean, who better to learn from them, such sort of experienced Volvo veterans. So I'm sure they're making the most of it and learning every moment. But I think that must be great for Bauer and KP as well, just to have that energy and enthusiasm and excitement. Sometimes naivety does bring some rewards. And I know for us coming into Cape Town, when we got ashore, our manager said, he never thought we'd catch Mapfre. We were too far behind. But for me, that was my first leg, and I still believe that 100 miles you could close up, and we pushed for it every day, and we did get them. So I think sometimes that kind of naivety and enthusiasm can help, especially in scenarios like this.
We haven't been gone that long, but a lot has changed. Knut, tell us what's happening on the water now, if you can.
Oh, I tell you, everything changed there, night and day. We basically, Brunel tacked towards the beach, and this offshore breeze, or this land breeze kind of filled in, and they were suddenly, like out of the blue, coming woof into 16 knots of boat speed, 15, 16 knots of boat. So they're still sort of hiking close to land, but they have really good pressure here now. I'm just behind them, and the wind dropped a little bit. We had a bit of a couple of minutes here where they were really heeled over and going super fast. Now they're a little slower, but it looks like more solid wind all the way in here. That's what we came out with, and it's just that transition zone they had to go through,
We were just laughing in here about how the J3 might actually be the appropriate sail for them to be on if they're in 17 knots. Is that still what they're? Yeah. Oh, and we can see Brunel, just barely now.
Yeah, I think it's actually the J1 they have up. I thought it was a smaller sail, but it's more like a J1, like a normal.
Gotcha.
And or it could be the J2. It's a bit hard to say. But I think that, keep in mind this wind we had going out here in the rib, and I still think that it could be very light on the actual finish line. So we could still have a situation there, but a big relief here for Team Brunel, because they were 100% parked, and the green lights behind them were getting closer and closer. They kind of left them behind.
Must be a huge sigh of relief for Bauer. So can you talk to us a little bit about the topography there? You said it's funneling in over the beach. Is there like a valley that is sending the wind through that area towards them?
Yes, exactly. I mean, basically, they're now at the lower part of the land, and obviously, when you have an offshore breeze like this, you don't want to be hiding behind mountains. They just unfurled the big Condero again now. Just got the big sail up, by the way. That's a good sign. That means that the breeze is solid. You know, they trust the wind. But now they are at the lower point of land here compared to where they were before. And the breeze is obviously filling in nicely, but no, they look good right now. I mean, this is looking pretty solid with the breeze, and yeah, I can see everyone is moving, talking, for a relaxed atmosphere, but it's not over. It's not over.
Yeah.
As I said, we had this 3 years ago. Now we had breeze all the way in the bay, and when we got up sort of the channel there, close to the finish line, it got light. So well, fingers crossed for Brunel, this can last all the way.
Well, and they still have 6 miles to go. Annie, do you think they keep the code 0 up here and drop the jib?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, once you feel happy with the pressure and you've got, a good solid 4 or 5 knots, then they'll be holding on the 0, unless they get another 17 knot puff, and then they're going to have to think about going back again. But they're heeled over there, which is always a good sign, and it looks like the sail's drawing nicely. So I think they're probably just holding their breath right now.
Hoping for the best, hoping that this stays. Knut, we can't actually see who's driving. Is that Bauer?
No, that is, well, I'm looking to see someone who has shaved off. No, it could be Bauer, yeah. We always have to look at the haircut, but that looks really like Bauer.
Yeah, we've gotten a bit closer, and I'm thinking that's him. Without a hat on, he's hard to mistake, actually.
It's not an under 30.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Knut, we were just talking about how they have 4 under 30s for this leg, the first time they've had 4 under 30s with 2 new guys on board. Do you think that was helpful for them? A little new energy on board?
Yeah, I mean, to have young blood on board when you have to live without sleep is always a good thing. But, one thing I remember is that the youngest guys are always the ones who can live without sleeping. So I think the fact that they had 4 under 30 on this leg is it must be a positive. And I mean, and a guy like Adam Minopri, like he's a world-class tactical match race sailor, and obviously have the experience from the last race. To get some fresh blood like that on board, who's a very sort of competitive person, strong tactical sailor, is also good.
They've been rotating through their crew a little bit the past couple legs. Do you think they'll stick with this team now? Do you think maybe Adam will stay with them and they'll go with that same group of guys all the way to Gothenburg?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Gertjan was obviously off for this leg, but not voluntarily. I mean, he definitely wasn't a planned change. So I think most of the changes on Brunel has been related to injuries, and so I don't think Bowie wants to make changes for the sake of changing. And I think it depends with Gertjan whether his arm is. My understanding was that he had an infection in his arm or something like that, so he needed to rest. So if he could probably come back. But I'm sure that Adam Minoprio is the kind of person, a sailor that Bowie would like to have on the next legs. Like a lot of tactical sailing on those short legs, and that's always good to have a strong tactician with you.
Right. They lost Jurjan, as Knut was saying. I think he had elbow bursitis. And Annie was off of SCA essentially because you were sick in the last leg. How do you follow it as a team member but not able to be in the leg? Is it like 4-hour watches? You're checking the tracker, you're every bit of it there with the team even if you're not racing?
Yeah, well, actually, I was quite busy also in this stopover with some corporate activities for SCA, so I thought that I wouldn't be checking it so much, but I did turn into one of the craze trackers, so it is quite addictive. And actually having 3-hour updates, whereas on board we only have 6-hour skeds, it really changes it as well when you're watching it from the land. So you're just trying to find anything you can. I'm watching every boat feed, just trying to spy on all the other boats as well. And I found myself quite addicted to the app.
Did you feel like you were learning a lot from watching the other boats and the boat feeds?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'd like the OBR to show us a little bit more the sail plan and the setup, which is not what they're focused on. But definitely we've learned quite a lot from watching the videos and looking at the photos. And I mean, I've also been, in email contact with the girls on board, and it's interesting to hear what they have to say as well.
Annie, always a lifelong trimmer. I'd love to see the sail. Well, here you go. You've got shots of Brunel. And this isn't an onboard reporter. This cameraman can send whatever we would like from here, although he's not quite in that just from a stern view that you probably want. We just saw Pablo using a flashlight to look at the stern and maybe at the rudders. What do you think he was looking for, just to make sure there was nothing on the rudders?
Yeah, I'm sure as they come into land now, they're looking out for weed and also, I mean, any fishing pots. I'm not sure exactly what's in that river mouth, but always gets quite dangerous as you're coming close to land with things in the water. So they definitely don't want anything to be slowing them down right now.
Not just the lack of wind. This is onboard reporter Stefan Koppers, the quite tall guy on the side of the boat there, and Rokas, who we were trying to speak with earlier, who he said is the muscle of the team. It's amazing how tall Stefan is and how cramped he must be down below in the onboard reporter desk all day long.
They look very relieved right now. He doesn't look quite as nervous as he sounded a minute ago, so they're clearly in some good wind and feeling confident.
Exactly. 6 miles goes very quickly when you're doing about 10 or 11 knots, and very slowly when you're doing 0.
And Rokas is obviously quite happy that he's coming to the end of his bowman duties. This was his first leg as the bowman because their bowman was injured, so quite a tough challenge for him to take on this leg.
Your team rotates through the bow a little bit as well. Is it hard on board to change bowman? I mean, it's a very important job, essentially, to keep all the halyards straight, to keep all the sail plans straight. But yet you've had to do it, and they've managed to do it as well. How does it go?
I mean, the boat is actually quite well set up on the bow for you. But I think the main thing is if you've been training together and you all have the same system, then it's going to work fine. I think if you brought in a bowman maybe completely from the outside and they had their own way of doing it, that would make things harder. But we've been training as a squad for 2.5 years, so we've been rotating the whole time, and we kind of have our systems that everyone then sticks to. So I think that enables it to run smoothly, whoever it is you're working with on the front. Hence
Rokas being the primary bowman when you're trying to have to step off, and Timo, who steps in to replace him, being his backup, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
That makes sense. Wow, it does look like they have beautiful breeze right now. A huge sigh of relief for Brunel, and essentially probably a bit of frustration for the teams behind, who maybe wanted the park up to last a bit longer and just see if things could shake up. As Knut said, though, there still is not a lot of wind at the finish line, which is about 4 or 5 miles away now. So it doesn't mean it's going to hold like this just because we're seeing good breeze now.
Well, I think the guys are just enjoying that they get a chance now to stretch away maybe from those behind, but I'm sure they still know there's quite a bit of race left, even if it is only 6 miles. A lot can happen.
What do you think he's doing up there?
We're just outside of him, but it could be that he's actually now looking in the water for debris or weed, if that's what they've just been discovering that they're getting on their rudder.
Especially if, as the tide is turning, you'll often get eddies and current lines that end up having lots of debris, well, it's helpful to figure out where you want to go with the current, but it's harmful, as you said, lots of things that can catch on their keel or on their rudder.
I think nothing can be as bad as our last leg in leg 6, where we were in seaweed for about 5 days, and I think all of the boats learned some new techniques, so hopefully everyone knows how to get rid of weed quickly now.
Well, we know everyone in Lisbon is quite excited to be getting the teams. We've got Team Brunel, short team here, taking down their step-off ramp. It's going to be a bummer for you not to be able to actually be there for Team SCA. We're obviously happy to have you here. The best person to have is a person who's been sailing around the world on these boats to be able to talk about them. But what is it like when you're arriving to, I guess this leg has been a bit shorter than the others as well. So last leg before this was 17 days. And then prior to that, they were all over 20, and now it's only a 9-day leg. So it might not seem the same when you're arriving to the dock, like it's been such a long journey. Although 9 days at sea is still no small feat.
9 days with not much sleep and just freeze-dried, I'm sure still feels like a long time. But I think each leg's felt different on arrival. Well, for me, the main thing is you're always feeling about how you've done, if you've performed as well as you could have. And I think I've never felt quite so relieved arriving as after leg 5, the Southern Ocean leg. For us, we really struggled with quite a lot of damage, and I think we were so excited to cross that line just to make it with the boat intact and everyone uninjured and able to carry on. So that was a big relief for arriving in Brazil.
You can see the finish line here, just off of the race village. So they are 5 nautical miles away now and only doing 7 knots. With Mapfre doing 9, it looks like the breeze might be dropping a bit again. So maybe not possibly able to get to the dock and the relief of the finish line quite yet. But of course, as Knut was saying, plenty of boats out there to support them and bring them in, even though it is only 5 in the morning Lisbon time, an hour behind us here. That looks like still good breeze. Even though they're motoring forward, there's still waves around them. But as you said, the sea state stays up. Even as the breeze dies, you can still have pretty bad sea state for a while.
Yeah, and that's really, makes such a big difference. When you talked earlier about us managing to get around Mapfre in Cape Town, we really ended in no wind, but it was completely flat water, so just 1 knot can still push you along. Here, if you've got any waves, you might need 3 or 4 knots to be able to move.
We actually just had Knut in vision there. We could see him for a second, although I think he's moved out of the line. Knut, can you see in front of you? I know it's 5 miles to the finish line, but can you see if the breeze is now holding the whole way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's not only holding, but it's increasing. So I would say the last 2 minutes, it's just been building and building. And they have really, really good breeze here. It's fantastic conditions. I mean, completely flat water. Not a single wave. I mean, the biggest wave is probably, half an inch or something like that.
Oh, nice.
And they have this nice, warm offshore breeze. And fully powered up with the Caldera. I mean, they're really fully powered up. And must be doing, 12, 13, 14 knots of speed. Looks really good right now. So fingers crossed it lasts all the way. As long as I can see, I mean, you can feel the daylight is just around the corner. It's not very far away. And then now you're starting to get the light from the city, so you can see more on the water as well. It looks like breeze all the way in front here. No calm spots, but I wouldn't say yet that it's going to be finishing in breeze, because we had this mirror in front of the race village when I left on the rib. So
and it does still
look.
Looks like a mirror from the dock shots as well. Let's talk about one other thing, Knut. We had the final boat of the fleet, Team Vestas Wind, arrived to Lisbon this morning. Were you able to see them?
Well, isn't that amazing? I came out. I had my phone call that we had 3 hours left to Team Brunel, and then got out of my hotel bed, walked out of the hotel, and as I walk out of the hotel, a big blue Volvo truck rolls in front of me, like 10 meters in front of me, with a nice blue boat behind it. And it was a pretty emotional moment, actually. I must say, it's been a lot of people involved in trying to repair that boat, rebuild it, and bring it back from that reef, and having that dream of having it back in the race. And honestly, people may think today that was an easy thing, but it wasn't. It was incredibly challenging. So to see that boat roll into to Lisbon a few hours ago, that was a big moment, and it looked fantastic. It looked like a brand new boat. It doesn't have all the same graphics because they basically don't have time to paint it, so they only have one color on the whole boat. But it looked fantastic. Really nice sight.
An exciting and proud moment, I think, for everyone on the team and everyone in the race. The fact that, as you said, it wasn't an easy road to get back there, but now they are. I think now we have on the phone, do we have Mapfre? Are you with us, Francisco?
Yes, Jenny. Hello, how are you?
Wonderful. And you? Have you gotten breeze now again? Because we saw you guys were all becalmed for a little while.
Yes, exactly. We were sailing outside with over 20 knots and finally nothing. But now we are back with 15 knots, so we are pointing straight to the channel. That's pretty good. We can see the whole city, and we can see Brunel and Dongfeng as well. It's going to be quite tight, this arrival.
Are you guys happy that the breeze filled again, or did you want it to stay light for a bit longer so you can maybe get around Brunel?
Of course, we're more than happy. On my personal experience, we don't like too much arrivals with no wind, after pushing so hard all the leg, that you arrive and everybody gets parked in the same spot. I think sometimes it's not fair, but that's it, that's life. You have to deal with it with any conditions, with a lot of wind and with nothing as wind. So I think no win is not a good option for us right now.
I have Annie Lush with me from Team SCA. I think you might remember an arrivals where you guys had no wind and it was helpful for their team. But Annie, you have any questions for Fran?
Hi, Francisco. I just wondered if you could describe the mood.
Hello,
How are you doing? I wondered if you could describe the mood on board at the moment. I know that you guys have been working really hard to get every inch from the boat, so how are the guys doing right now?
Focus, and we are doing a true wind angle of 88 right now, so it's quite easy sailing straight to the mark, and you know, it's just focusing and trying to finish this leg as fast as we can in the best position as we can. So also as well, they're quite scary about what's going to happen if we run out of wind in the middle of the channel, if we have to anchor. So it's a little bit of nervousness, you know. Anchor is already out and ready to go because 5 minutes ago was nothing of wind, and we were thinking of anchoring like at any moment. It's only 15 meters deep here, so that option is still there, you know.
Yeah.
So very focused, the guys.
It looks like it's sort of last minute snack time as well, right? Is Rob having a little sandwich there in front of us? Have you not cooked him a real meal?
Yeah, he's having a snack. He's a machine. He never stops eating.
Fran, we also have Knut. Knut, are you close to Mapfre at all, or are you still up with Team Brunel?
Sorry.
We might not actually have Knut with us, but he would have asked.
I am here.
Ah, okay, perfect. I was saying, are you near Mapfre at all, or are you still up with Team Brunel?
No, I'm still with Team Brunel here, so they are speeding along towards the finish line here.
Okay, well, we still have Francisco on board Mapfre. Fran, we can't quite see what sail you have up. What's your front sail?
We're sailing right now with the masthead 0. So as I told you, 5 minutes before was no wind. Like we were floating, we were drifting with the current. So yeah, that's our front sail, and with the big gusts, sometimes you know gets a lot of heel, but it's okay. You know, we know it's gonna be really not too much wind in the channel, so that's the right sail to have right now.
And what about Dongfeng race team? Can you see them, or at least their lights near you?
Yeah, of course we can see them, and it's not such a nice feeling, you know. But they are there. We know where they are. So it's a nervousism about that, you know, when you see your opponent so close, and after such a tough leg, well, tough no, but a leg that everybody push a lot, you know, make you feel a little bit uncomfortable.
What do you think for your team was the hardest part of this leg?
Well, a lot of strategical decision for Jean-Luc and Iker. You know, it was the first time I saw them, you know, discussing so many options and so many different ways to sail. You know, moments when to jibe, when to do appealing. You know, there were things like a couple of days before we jibe. On top of the high pressure, they had a lot of discussing, you know, back and forward, and I think that was the moment where they struggled more, you know, what's when to do it, how to do it, you know, and if you jive first, if you jive second, if you follow the fleet, if you do their thing, if you do appealing now or later. So I think probably that was maybe the tough part for them this leg.
And do you think they were happy with the decision they made? I mean, in the end, it looked like the southern route was actually probably the best route, at least for the leaders, with you guys and Brunel and Dongfeng all coming out ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course, there is it's a sense of happiness on board, but our main objective was to beat Brunel because he's our closest opponent right now in the general. So, you know, in that part, maybe we were not so happy because they're still in front of us. But then, of course, we are finishing this leg in podium right now, and it's a good feeling for everybody. But still, you have that that taste of Brunel in front of you.
Perfect. And what about the battle that you guys had between yourselves, Dongfeng, and Brunel after getting out of the high? I mean, essentially, the three of you exited the high right together. Originally, it was Dongfeng leading, and then you both got past them. How did that happen?
Well, that was quite amazing sailing, offshore sailing, boat sailing really close, and we were in that moment we were sailing around 120, 130 through in angle, and the boats just look spectacular, you know, so close to each other. And you know, there was a specific moment that we thought, Dongfeng has the race. They were just on our stern, and they passed us from on leeward side. And just after they passed us, they went straight into Brunel, catch Brunel, pass Brunel. They were doing an amazing job, and I think that was 2 days ago. Was a quite strong fight, and you know, the guys here on board were checking the boats all the time, you know, which mode they're sailing, how they're doing it, and of course pushing because the watch that doesn't push and go a little bit slower, you feel immediately that you're going slower than the other ones. So
were you expecting Brunel
it's quite amazing
to win that fight?
Yeah, tell me.
Were you expecting Brunel to win that fight? I mean, it was sort of a three-boat drag race between the three of you, and Brunel ended up pulling out. Is that like a speed advantage that you guys would have given them beforehand?
Not at Yeah, not at all. We thought Dongfeng was the strongest there, but didn't happen. So, and after we start reaching, just Brunel started going faster than us and than Dongfeng. So it was quite unbelievable. You know, there was a point that we don't know what they're doing because they're going over 0.4 knots faster than us all the time. They start stretching, and they arrive here with a difference of 7 miles. It was quite frustrating for moments, but we still sailing as hard as we could to catch them.
But then you guys were also able to pull a little bit of distance from Dongfeng race team as well. There was a period of time, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, where you were very close to each other. I mean, boat lengths away, and then you pulled away as well, correct?
Yeah, we managed to stretch over 4 miles during the night. Was I think that was with the tide reach with between 90 and 100, and yeah, we have a really good couple of watches that got a very good speed on board, and we managed to stretch that and as well follow Brunel closely. Our eyes were just on Brunel. We didn't look too much in that moment to Dongfeng, you know, because there was a moment when they pass us that we say, okay, forget about these guys and let's go for one, you know, let's go for the closest. So we sail on that mode.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Francisco. I'm sure we'll check back in with you soon as you get closer to the finish line. Hope the breeze holds.
Okay, thank you very much, Jenny.
Good luck, Francisco.
Talk to you soon.
Good luck to you guys. A lot of grinding there, Annie, for sort of straight line sailing.
Yeah, well, I think as they're coming along the land there, they're probably getting puffs. The Master Zero is actually quite a tricky sail to sail to, and it's a big sail, so I think, you know, they're getting a wind range of probably 4 or 5 knots there, so you're going to have to adjust to that, and you know, obviously adjusting the main, but the Code Zero is quite a big sail, so it's quite a big grind back on once you've eased it out.
Yeah, fair enough. You could see their shore crew there, I think, getting ready to go out to bring Mapfre in. But as you said, a lot of differences in breeze right now. Means we don't quite know when that finish line will be, but it looks like there's still plenty of breeze. So
yeah, I mean, they're still heeled over, and yeah, you can see Brunel's rudder cutting through the water there, so
Quite
it's always
nicely.
a nice sound when you can hear that going on. Although we did just see, I think, Stefan and Rokas, two of the crew, moving forward.
Yeah.
So they've all been sent further forward, which suggests that they're going into slightly lighter wind at the moment.
Yeah, but at the same point, you're right. There are only two. They're definitely now all the way up at the bow, as Annie's just said. Whereas earlier they were hiking at the widest part of the boat, which essentially means the most breeze. But it looks like well, it's not too light for them, at least not yet. And there's a police boat in the way. Interesting. It sounds like now we have third place team at the current moment, Dongfeng race team, on the line. Dongfeng, are you with us?
Yes, Jenny, this is Jan. I'm with you.
Yay, perfect, Jan. Good to hear from you again. Sorry we lost you earlier. Oh, you still don't have any wind. Is that correct?
No, we don't. We don't. We have yes. We don't have any. We fall in a no wind spot again. We had wind like 5 minutes ago, but right now it doesn't look very good.
Yeah. In fact, you've maybe eased your mainsail a bit more than last time when we talked to you, because now it's quite floppy over your heads. What about the boats around you? Can you see boats ahead or behind?
No, I've just lost them. I was downstairs and I've lost Mapfre, but from the comment I've heard on deck, I think it's not very good for us.
And what about wind? Can you see wind anywhere? Even if you're not in any right now?
No, we had wind actually just before I called in, and it was just slowly dying as we were arriving on shore, and we tacked, and we couldn't finish our tack because the wind finished to die there. So right now we don't even know if we starboard or port.
No. How is the mood then with Charles and Pascal right now? Is everyone really, really tense, I would imagine?
Well, it's just as you can imagine, racing with no wind, and or the other boats are still not very far. So of course it's there's a lot of concentration, but not stress, just concentration.
Can we talk about the final traffic separation scheme you guys just sailed around? The fleet in the front essentially decided to go south of it, and then the fleet behind, did you discuss essentially the fleet behind, whether they would split with you guys? Did it affect your decision making there at all? Do you know?
I don't think we were, this is a question for Pascal mainly and Charles, but I don't think we were looking at the fleet behind at that point. I think we were still mostly concentrating on catching up on the guys in front.
Yeah. And didn't split from them. Essentially, I guess that could have been the one place to split, but maybe the routing was just best for you guys to go below it. Okay,
I don't remember having heard any questions. For us, it was not an issue. It was like this, and that's it.
Always to go south of it. We've seen some incredible drone footage from you this leg. How was it being able to use the drone on the boat? And it looked like you actually got it up in some relatively breezy conditions.
Yeah, well, actually, it was just like being at a school for drone during this Transat for me, because it was quite new, and actually I started to use it in no wind, and the condition started to build up along the way, and I was still able to use it, and I think I've reached the maximum of this drone the last day with the Mapfre just in front of us. I think Sam did that as well. It's probably around 17 knots or something like that.
17 knots, you think, is the maximum? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it depends on the wind angle, of course, but it depends on the wind angle. But we were sailing mast at zero with at 120 wind angle, and I think there was 17 knots of wind, something like that. And we were sailing about that speed as well. So,
that's amazing.
But that's not the fun, actually.
It looks like you've
really fun.
just gotten a little bit of breeze now, correct?
Yes, we're on port.
and on port possibly means that the satellites have...
You unfurled before.
Ah, okay, we still have you.
But it's still very light. It's still very light. We are sailing 2 knots right now.
Can we go back in time a little bit?
I just say Charles.
Go ahead. You see Charles.
I just heard Charles saying that there's some wind close to shore, and actually it's a little bit darker there, so it might be that there's a little bit more wind on shore, and that's where we are going to go right now, I think.
Ah, cool. So is that a tack then back into shore?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is right now.
And we can see lots of grinding on board. Wow, that's a good move. Okay, so
Camera to see if you can see something else.
perfect, thank you. And then I just wanted to ask you about the speed duel with Mapfre that you've had over the past 2 days. We're seeing you tacking on the tracker essentially, but the speed duel with Mapfre, you guys usually seem to be quite fast, and then you sent some boat feeds where they were basically upset about not having great speed. Was that what was happening on board? Was just not good speed in that drag race? Oh, we might have lost Jan. I think we have lost Jan, so the tack has... Okay, sorry, Jan, are you back with us? I think we're struggling with satellite signals, as we said, and as you said, tacking isn't helping necessarily with our satellite signals. Knut, are you still there? Do you think tacking's the right move?
I think we just saw on their track that they further offshore than Mapfre, and we know that Mapfre are more wind, so it seems that trying to get those Zephyrs off the shore is the way to go at the moment. Yeah, I mean, hard to tell from here, but yeah, looking at the other 2 boats, they seem to be further inshore, and they seem to have been picking up more pressure. So
the scary part for Dongfeng, which I don't think they're aware of, is just right behind them. You've got Abu Dhabi and Alvi Medica screaming in, essentially still doing about only 11 knots. Okay, just briefly before this, they were doing 20 knots, Abu Dhabi, and they've gained immensely. They're now just 3 miles behind Dongfeng race team. So having been 40 miles or 30 miles back yesterday to now just be 3 miles behind is quite an interesting scenario. And as you said, Dongfeng is much further from the shore, definitely than from Abu Dhabi as well, which is maybe means we'll see some mixing up there if they stay in light air. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Abu Dhabi obviously pushing for every point here, being the overall winners, and I think they were pretty nervous a few days ago, a long way behind Dongfeng, and hoping that Dongfeng wouldn't overtake the others. I think we all know that Dongfeng are pretty quick in those reaching conditions, and I'm sure in Abu Dhabi were nervous of that. But
Ian had he called it in the middle of the high, he called it the pivotal moment of the entire race. He basically said, if we don't get this right, then this is the pivotal moment of the entire race. I guess the team that got that moment right, and at least the moments after that right, is Team Brunel. I think we finally have Rokas on board. Rokas, are you with us?
Eerst first, Stefan, but I have a very happy Lithuanian guy next to me. Here he comes.
Perfect. Are you guys both still on the bow, Stefan?
Hey, Jenny.
Oh, hey, Rokas. We were just saying, are you still the bowman on the bow, but are you actually on the bow now? Is it still quite light?
Yeah, I'm kind of hiking at the moment, but anytime ready to run on the bow, because the 2 sails ready to be hoisted, so we kind of in between of the thing.
How nervous have you been this morning? It's been, I'm sure, a roller coaster of emotion with the breeze and no breeze and now breeze again.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic finish. Like, we had 20 knots, and then in like 5 minutes it dropped to 5. Then was a really big park up, which I was a bit nervous because all the other guys came really close. And now I'm moving back to the bow. So yeah, now we changed few sails, but now we're finally moving, and the finish apparently is really, really close.
Oh, good. Does it look like you'll have breeze the whole way?
Yeah, it looks like under the bridge looks pretty light and close to the shore, but so far we're moving, so that's a good sign.
That's helpful. What about for this leg? You were lead bowman for the first time on this leg. Was it fine? Were you able to do the job? Were there any mess ups?
No, it was okay. Like, there was one little mess up which we got on camera, but nothing major. Like, that's happened,
Okay,
but
cool.
it was pretty simple leg. It was okay.
And how about
Not
the new
much
guys? How
major.
was it to have Adam and Timo on board?
Oh, it was really nice, you know, extra energy, new guys, you know, eager to sail, eager to win, so it was fun, you know. Adam's experience was really worthwhile, and Timo, you know, energetic guy, really, so it was really fun to sail with him.
We were talking a little bit about the age difference on your boat, how there's 4 under 30s and then 2 over 50s and then some in between. What's that dynamic like for you guys?
It's pretty okay. I wouldn't say there's something there's some difference in that. Like we all still the same team because basically we trained together from the beginning, so we know each other, and it's the kind of, you know, mood that we have. So I wouldn't say there's a difference.
Are there any cliques? Is it like you hang out with any certain people or no?
Basically, it's like watches, you know. So you hang out with others, and some of the guys you don't even see. So it all comes to watches and watch systems. But everybody's really friendly in our team. Like, yeah, trying to spend as much time as together. So like the last 6 hours, we all full team on deck and just, you know, enjoying the ride to the finish to Lisbon.
Rokas, I have Annie Lush with me from Team SCA.
Yeah, hi Annie.
Hi, Rocky. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm afraid I won't be there to cheer you guys into the dock, but I'm shouting for you right here in Alicante.
Nice.
So they keep calling you the strong guy on board here. That seems to be what you're famous for in the headquarters. So we were just wondering if anyone was coming to help you on the bow this whole leg, or did they just leave you up there being the young strong guy on board now?
Actually, the problem was that there was too many guys on the bow. So in the middle of the trip, we had to reduce that. I don't need that much help anymore. So yeah, that was the thing of it.
Nice work, Rocky. Good job. Good luck for the end here.
Yeah, all regards from Stefan, Louis, and Timo to you.
Cool.
We almost there.
Nice work.
Hey, we have Knut on the line as well, and I think he's got the CEO of Brunel with him. Are you there, Knut?
Yep.
I'm there, and
We saw you, Nari,
sight.
on the rib.
Yeah. Yeah, Jan is very excited.
It looks like it's almost sunrise there, you guys. We started with you when it was dark, but now there's at least light on the horizon.
Yeah, it's actually quite a beautiful sunrise. We just see, we're looking at the bridge and this colorful sky. You need to send a chopper here.
I think we will be sending the chopper shortly. In fact, if the sun is up, then it can fly.
We'll be finished, so you might miss us. Hopefully.
If you could just slow down about 10 minutes, then it'll be perfect. Then you'll get the shots you know Brunel wants as well.
Yeah.
So what is the distance now to the finish line, Rokas?
I have no idea. I'm sitting on the bow and all the things happening back, but I can't see the mark yet. I see some bright light, and I think this is the 1.5 mile, yeah.
Okay,
To
good.
the finish.
I
That's
would
a
say
lot.
I know here, but I'm not going to tell you. But yeah, I think something like 1.5 sounds about right. But
Yeah,
you can see the marks, or you cannot see them.
No, I still cannot see the mark. It's still a bit dark here, but
It's like you're laser sailing when they send you on a really long upwind leg.
yeah, we need a small puff to make this happen.
It's really hard on the bow right now because you can't see any of the instruments and you can't see what's going on. So Rocky's kind of almost blind at the moment.
Well, all this leg, we have this big story from Adam and Pablo, where last race they were stuck around 100 meters to the finish line, anchored, 2 boats, and just waiting for the wind. And then Spanish team took over the camper from behind, and like 1 puff came. So hopefully this is not happening to us.
Well, the breeze is dying a little bit now for you,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's dying. It's dying pretty much. It looks like another park up.
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah.
I would say how's Bauer doing, but you pretty much couldn't be any further away from him than you currently are.
Yeah.
Who gets more nervous in these moments, Bauer or KP?
None of those. These guys are the most calm ones. KP is a bit more nervous because he has a chart and he sees where the shallow waters are. And Bauer just want to cut the corners and go straight to the finish. So the only thing.
So then who's the most emotional on the boat altogether?
Sorry?
Who's the most emotional? Like, who would be the most stressed altogether on the boat?
No, you know, like we already had, I don't know what, this is a sixth finish. And it's pretty much all of them were the same. Dramatic, no wind, waiting, park up. So I would say Timo is the most nervous here.
Ah, fair enough. One of the new guys. Okay.
He's like really excited and like, oh, wide, okay, we're moving, like all over the place.
Aw, seeing land again for the first time after 9 days,
Yeah, true.
essentially.
What sails do you have on the bow there ready to go in case this drops any more?
J1, masthead, and fractional.
So you've got a few options that you're going to have to play with still, even in just 1 mile.
Yeah, always ready. One more or less is just J1 and masthead. Hopefully just masthead.
How's Stefan been this leg? It's like the shortest leg that he's had to deal with, at least.
He's amazing as always.
Aww. Is he
Yeah.
close to you?
I have some other guys here who are really jealous that I'm on the phone. Do you want to put them?
Oh yeah, we'll talk to anyone.
Yeah, Timo would like to say some words.
Perfect. Put him on.
Hi, it's Timo.
Hi, Timo. It's Jenny and Annie Lush from Team SCA. We're here in the
Hi, Timo.
in the Volvo office. So how was your first leg? How'd you like it?
Well, I'm actually super nervous. As Rocky said, I'm actually still shitting my pants about whether or not we're going to finish first or not, because currently, we're just parked up a mile from the finish. So I'm actually I am super excited about the whole thing, but
Quietly freaking out.
we should actually wrap it up. But yeah, as it is now, just the boys are closing in from behind, and we're just doing everything to keep the boat going. But it's not easy.
Aw. Wow. Were you expecting anything like this when you stepped onto the boat in Newport?
Well, actually, it was quite an easy crossing in the way that we just had light air and only some breeze in the last 2 days. And I would have expected a bit more typical, like North Atlantic depression, storm sailing, or I guess what we've seen in the years before. But it was really grey and really light airs all the way. So I didn't expect that at all. No.
Do you think the stories that you've had from Adam and Pablo about this finish line have made you just that much more nervous knowing what could happen?
Yeah, probably, yeah. We've been talking about it for a while now, and although I haven't really looked into the navigation about the river here,
Yeah.
we've been talking about it a lot, and it is actually worse than they told us. But at least this time we have the current with us, I just heard, so that's at least lucky, and we don't have to anchor at least.
That's helpful. What does it look like between you and the finish line? Is the breeze just going to get worse for now?
No, we're just talking about it. It's just a little bit of a darker spot coming up here. So it looks like we're in for a little bit of an increase here, but after that, there's no pressure anymore. It's completely flat between us and that dark patch in the race village. So we'll see. At the moment, we're just still we have a full zero, so I'm already happy with that. So
And you're hoping this puff carries you.
it's full of pressure. So.
The other guys have got to sail through this hole too, so you can, be confident in that. They might close in, but they've still got to get through it as well. So you guys are good.
Yeah, I'll just give you to Louis. He's got something funny to say. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Timo. Great to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Hello, Louis speaking.
Hi, Louis. It's Jenny and Annie Lush in the Volvo office. How are you?
Hi, Louis.
Hi, Jenny. Hi, Annie. Hey, I'm very good. We're about to finish in a couple of minutes.
What's the funny thing you have to say?
Not much. Timo was just making something up. We're just this small rowing boat who's about to hit us, very very close to us. Okay. So
they said that Timo was the most nervous, Louis, but I imagine you're feeling quite nervous right now, just desperate to get across that line.
yeah, exactly. Desperate to get across, and obviously we're all a little nervous, but I think the others are 1.5 or 2 miles behind us. So it should be all right. There's nothing happens.
Let's look back on this leg a little bit, Louis. What did you think was the best part of it for you guys? What was sort of your favorite moment?
Last 2 days, I would say, because then we got into a tight reach and we were going really well at like 70 to 90 true wind angle, and we were reaching on the jib, and we went really well against Mapfre and Dongfeng. So we could extend our lead up to 12 miles this morning. So that was really a good feeling.
And what do you think the difference was, Louis, between reaching at that angle and this leg? And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to ask you a technical question, but you know, I think that was more of a struggle in leg 6, and you guys have really stepped up your performance at that angle on this leg. Can you identify the difference?
Well, for us, the biggest difference is that this time I was on the jib, and last leg most of it was on the fractional, and the jib seems to fit us really well, and the fractional doesn't really. We saw it again when the two other boats hosted the fractional, they had an advantage over us. And when we sailed on the jib, we had an advantage over them. So, yeah, strange.
That was an impressive stretch out you did anyway, so yeah, nice work.
We're hearing some horns. Is that actual horns from spectators around you?
Yes, there's around us. But we stopped completely right now.
Oh,
We're
no.
just drifting along with the current.
This is a bit of a silly question. I know the answer that I have, but if you could plan a time for an arrival for you guys, when would you want to be arriving at a finish line, finishing and getting to the dock?
Late afternoon, I think. Because most people finish from work, a lot of people cheering us on, and then we get in for a good dinner and maybe some drinks, and then we go have a good sleep. So.
I think we agree with that here. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, but this morning in Lisbon looks nice as well with the rising sun. It's very nice.
It is quite beautiful.
Yeah.
We're seeing Bauer on the back of the boat here, actually, looking quite. He's still, well, obviously really serious because you haven't finished yet, but yeah, very intense back there.
Yeah, very intense.
Does he get nervous even with you guys just talking up front, or are you far enough away that he can't hear anything?
No, he's completely fine with that.
How is your relationship with Bauer? It seems like you guys have a pretty special relationship, actually, that he can make a lot of fun of you and the boys on board, but you all get along quite well.
Yeah, he treats us very well, though. He's sometimes like a father figure to me, and he's very straightforward always. He's very demanding as well. But yeah, we're good buddies.
And what about KP?
KP is very straightforward as well, and yeah, he's the navigator. Yeah, what can I say? Yeah. Some people you have a special relationship with, others you haven't. But we come along very well, so all good.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, thanks so much, Louis, for joining us, and good luck to you guys. Fingers crossed that there's enough breeze to take you the final mile and a half, as Rokas was saying.
I'm holding my breath for you, Louis. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. We'll talk to you soon. I am holding my breath for them as well. We can't even see the bodies on the bow anymore, but it sounds like the 3 of them were all up on the bow, possibly with Stefan as well.
Yeah, right now you've been trying to send everything and everyone into the bow that you possibly can. Just try and keep the boat moving.
All the sails and everything. God, it is beautiful there, the sunrise, the Lisbon Bridge. How far out are they now from the finish line?
I can see the finish line, and this is the big trick, you know. This is what I was a little afraid of when we went out, because just between us right now and Brunel and the finish line, there is an area where nothing. It's just glass. So hopefully that is only what we have on the surface, because you can be lucky sometimes that there's a wind higher up. I mean, they are still moving. That's the good news. And the current is just about, you know, the tide is just about changing. So I mean, literally the tide changed, you know, 20 minutes ago. So it's just starting to flow in. They still have breeze, but they still have breeze, I would say, for another 150 meters. And then there is an area where there is just glass, absolute glass. And basically use the water as a mirror. And that's going to be the interesting part. That's exactly where Camper lost a place in the last race, just before the finish line. But I would say, though, that they have a pretty healthy distance to Mapfre now, you know, so it looks pretty good. But Bowie, we were just discussing, Bowie is staring here, and I can tell you his head is not moving. So he is so focused. He wants to nail this one, that's for sure.
Do you think they can? Do you think this is it? You said they've got enough distance between them and Mapfre.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's Well, I say so. You know, last race we had the boat sailing exactly what Brunel is doing now, and actually camper anchored up. But the difference is the timing of the day, because they anchored up also because the tide was running out, and that's what that's where you have to sort of stop drifting backwards. Now I think they have the tide is going to turn now, or is turning now, and they will to work themselves through. But those last hundreds of meters we have now to the finish line are going to probably be the toughest. The guys on board, they are sort of hardly poking their heads up. They're very, very focused, and they know that this is not over before it's over.
Yeah, and I guess as you're saying, for Brunel, it might be a little bit easier, but it actually sounds like it's quite interesting out in the bay now with Dongfeng race team having no wind still, and Abu Dhabi and Avimetica coming screaming in from outside. I'm sure that you're too far away to see that, but it's something we'll have to all keep our eye on. It's quite a close race out there at this moment.
It is, but there is a little bit of breeze there on the water, but it's just that area just in front of the finish line where there is basically now across the bay from one side here to the other. It's just absolutely. But hopefully it's enough high up. Brunel is still moving, doing probably 1 or 2 knots or something.
What do you guys think the momentum is of these boats? I mean, if they're doing 2 knots and the breeze was to shut off, how far boat lengths wise could they go before they would stop?
Yeah, you have to ask your guest in the studio. She knows more about sailing this boat than I do. But I think that this boat, as long as there is no wind, these boats move very quickly. I mean, they don't stop. In fact, and I think they even move better in light airs than the 70s. That's what I've heard from a few of the sailors. But Ian Walker told me that. But I think also it parks easily, it stops easily. It's a lot of wetted surface, it's a wide boat. So momentum doesn't keep you going for a very long time here.
So what do you think, Annie? 1 boat length, 2 boat lengths, 6?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's flat water, you can cruise a little bit. But as Knut just said, actually, although it is a big boat, it's not very heavy for a big boat. So, you don't get that sort of nice travel which you'd get in a sort of standard 65-foot boat. And I think as long as they can keep the masthead just drawing slightly, they're going to be all right there. You don't even need a knot of wind to keep the boat going, but you just need something.
Oh, beautiful shots now. That means we've got the heli up. That's the Ponte April 25th bridge, and just gorgeous sunrise there.
I mean, what a way to lead into the finish looking at that, although they're probably still holding their breath right now. But we can see wind on the water there in that shot, just some puffs of it, so they're hoping to catch that.
Exactly, wind a bit on the far side at least. But as Knut was saying, a mirror at places as well, near the finish line. We can't quite see where the finish line is in this shot, but I think it's this side of us, whereas we're looking across the bridge to where the wind is. So difficult, quite patchy and quite difficult to actually get to there.
Yeah, at least as Knut said that, they've got the current with them, and you're going to feel pretty relieved if you're in the lead now, knowing that. It would be a very different story if they had the tide against them right now. Then I think we could expect all the boats to sort of finish together, but hopefully for Brunel, just having this little bit of current is going to help them get across that line.
But as you can see, we were looking up the Tagu River there, so it's when it's going out, it really floods because it's going out with the addition of river current as well. And so even when it's incoming tide, it's not quite the same strength, but at least it is exactly pushing them towards the finish line, which is better at this point. It only just switched about 15 minutes ago, so it'll only be getting stronger incoming tide, probably for the whole rest of the fleet. I bet we might get all the boats across before it switches again.
It was interesting, I think, what Rokas was saying about between Bauer and KP, sort of KP will be quite nervous right now because actually they don't have much wind and they do have current and it's going to be building, and obviously we could see in that helicopter shot there are shallows and there's lots of things to avoid. They are going to a river, it's not open water, so you don't have much steerage in this light winds, and actually there's still quite a few obstacles to avoid and obviously shallow spots.
We didn't ask them about whether they had their anchor out. Mapfre, Francisco told us they got the anchor ready, but it didn't sound like Brunel had, or I think we would have talked about it, or we would have heard about it from them. So interesting point, but at least at this point, anchoring wouldn't help because you're going with the tide. So even if you can't steer, at least it's pushing you a bit. We are just seeing the bow. Oh, it's gotten really light for the guys.
Yeah, you can see all their sails piled at the front of the boat there, and all the guys as far forward as they can get on the bow, and that's really just to try and not to have much weathered surface area at the back of the boat, which is going to slow you down, and just try and get as much weight forward as possible so that the boat is essentially kind of as light as possible.
Just creep along every little inch here. This is when you have to be cat-like movements as well, just really try not to upset the boat.
And not one of them is talking right now in that shot. You know, they're just looking pretty nervous, and see Louis there just looking for any zephyr of wind he can spot to try and help them get across that line.
He looks equally nervous. Rokas is kind of hanging on as well. Wow. It's tough times for that boat, but at least finish line in sight. It's a little bit of a relief. You see the finish line, even if you're going slow, you're not dead stopped yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to jinx them, but even if boats close in, it's one thing to close that distance, but I think, as we all know, it's a different thing to actually pass someone. And especially in a kind of narrow river here now, you know, just keep yourself between your opposition and the finish line, and hopefully
hope for the best.
Yeah, that should block them.
But we can see in front, this is
Wow.
This is a view looking the other way. You can see Brunel, you can see all the boats that have gone out to greet them, but really it is a mirror from the marina towards where they are, so it's not over yet, as Knut was saying. It's pretty glassy up ahead. And the interesting part, as we said as well, behind them it is still quite a close fight for third place. Second place, Mapfre is just behind Brunel by about 2 miles. So it seems like Brunel might have this, even though we can't ever call that until they've crossed the line.
Oh yeah,
Bauer and Pablo.
Mapfre doing 9 knots right now, so they still have some wind in there.
Mapfre only 2 miles back, but doing 9 knots, yeah. Understandably, Bauer's stressed. Again, another beautiful view of this bridge.
That's probably not what Bauer's thinking right now.
No, that's the last thing you're thinking about, isn't it? The sunrise and the bridge, the finish line, it's the only thing in sight for them.
Yeah, people often talk about the amazing sights you see and the sunrise, and occasionally you get a chance to enjoy that, but I think often in moments like this, that's really not what you're looking at, and yeah, just staring at the water, trying to find anything you can.
I like his light touch on the wheel there, the underhanded grip. I think you know it's light when you're like that.
You see him looking back now. Now he's just checking in on Mapfre there. He's really got to just do what he can in the wind he has, but also make sure that he tries not to give them too much leverage either side.
As you said, get right between your opponent and the finish line, so that if Mapfre's going closer to shore, they might, well, they're pretty close to shore as is. We can't quite see the finish line in shot here. You see, of course, the sailboat, as we were just talking about, but we're not seeing any white marks, which signal the finish, so still a little ways to go yet.
It's amazing seeing, you know, already there's spectator boats out, however early it is in the morning, and I think that's been amazing throughout this whole trip, just to the welcome parties we've had any time of day and night, just how many people come out to cheer you in, and yeah, it's an amazing feeling after you're out there sort of by yourselves and you don't realise how many people are following and supporting you. It's always great.
How does that first day go back on land? When you get there, you have the arrivals at the dock and the ceremony there, and then is it a weird sort of feeling trying to get back into the groove of being on land instead of at sea on watch systems?
Yeah, it's not difficult to get back into eating normal food. I think we all enjoy that straight away. But it's quite difficult to sleep. You know, you're used to not having much sleep. And people always ask, do you want to get away from your team, have your own space? And I find normally maybe for a little while I do, but you wake up from having slept for a couple of hours, and then I think we all get a bit nervous that no one's around, and we end up texting each other and saying, let's go for coffee. So you sort of end up missing your teammates as well quite quickly.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very cool. It really does look like they are actually now not in a lot of breeze at all.
Oh, you can see
the glassy spot.
The masthead zero is hardly drawing there now, which is always a really tense moment right now for the trimmer and driver.
Luffing at the front.
Yeah, just trying to keep anything in it you can.
How long do you go before you then actually furl up the masthead zero a bit?
Yeah, that's always a tricky decision. You know, you can go for a part furl on the masthead 0, which will help because basically there's just less sail hanging in the air trying to draw the wind. So although you generally want as much sail as possible, when there's no wind, you want to just try and sort of get rid of some of the drag. But obviously in furling it sort of disturbs everything as well. So if you are moving, you don't want to disturb anything. So I think if you're still moving, you just want to hang in there.
Yeah, exactly. They've still got enough breeze here. As you said, though, the mastheads here are just starting to luff at the front. You can see it's light in front of them, but then there's a touch more breeze in front of that. So hopefully, fingers crossed for Brunel, that they're able to crawl their way across the finish line. Behind Brunel, quite a tight battle, as we've been saying. Mapfre just about 2 miles back at this point, but still doing about 9 knots. And they've just gotten becalmed as well. Just become becalmed with Mapfre. And then behind, this is the very interesting close racing we've had coming up. Dongfeng was becalmed for longer, and Alvimedica and Abu Dhabi have essentially caught up to within 2 miles of Dongfeng. So now it looks like they've got some breeze, 7 knots, and the guys behind have finally fallen into the hole with just 2 knots on Abu Dhabi. But this will be one to watch. Alvi in 2 knots and Abu Dhabi in 2 knots. It's going to be a tight race for maybe 3rd and definitely between 4th and 5th. We've just gotten the word Brunel is now exactly 1 mile from the finish line. But a mile can go a long way when you're not even doing
This
1
could be
knot
the
over
longest
water.
mile of their lives right now, I fear.
Plenty of motorboats around though.
Yeah, and it's actually a bit unreal watching the video here because it sort of looks like it's really calm, but coming into the finish is quite hard. There's all these different boats, people taking pictures, lots of flashlights, and then also the helicopter making a lot of noise and disturbance above you. So it's quite hard to really try and keep focused at the moment and keep sailing the boat because there will be a lot of noise and disturbance on the water.
At least there's probably a lot of noise on land as well with the people all waiting for them ashore. And it does look like that's a good solid puff in front of them. It might take a while for it to come down, but there is breeze on both sides actually of them to windward.
Yeah, that's what they're all hoping right now. But I think as we both know, it can take a long time still to get to that.
Yeah, especially with current. And it could be current lines as well. It's a very hard line, the definition between where they are and the breeze out on the shoreline there.
I think, as Knut said, it's also quite deceiving because sometimes the wind that you're seeing on the water is not what you've actually got at the top of the mast. And, you know, sometimes when it looks like there's absolutely no wind, you might have some at the top and vice versa.
We've just gotten in word from race control that Brunel is breaking the seal on their anchor. So we hadn't heard about the anchor yet because they hadn't quite pulled it out yet. But I think they're not necessarily thinking that the breeze in front of them is going to mean they have breeze, but at least they'll be prepared this way.
Yeah, I mean, getting the anchor out isn't actually that simple a process. You've got to break the seal, get it out from below, and actually build it. You know, they're not already built. You've got to put them together. So, yeah, if you want to be ready for anything, then you need to get that on deck, and you need to get it prepared, and also how you drop it overboard. So, good idea to get it out, and if anything, it would just keep some of the guys distracted and stop them worrying too much. It's always better to be doing something than just sitting there nervously.
Staring around doing nothing. Calling breeze is helpful, but it's still not doing something with your mind or your body like that. Wow, it's gotten quite light, but their sails are still full. The boat's still heeled just a touch, although you can do that with the canting keel, correct?
Yeah, that'll be, they've probably got quite a lot of lured keel there, I imagine, which does slow you down. But as we said, if you can just keep that sail drawing, that's your priority right now. So you're happy to have some lured keel, you know, as long as you can keep those sails full. And as you said, there's a puff in front of them. They've just got to try and keep that masthead full so they can keep it fully deployed until they get to that wind. Because furling it right now could disturb any wind they have and could mean that they completely stop.
And any forward flow they have going forward essentially gives them a bit more, we call it apparent wind in sailing, but a bit more of that. It does look like that puff is coming down quite slowly, but it is coming down. And then I think you can see the finish line in shot now from the helicopter. At least it looks like we should be able to see 2 marks just up to the left of them. God, beautiful sunrise though. And quite an armada of support boats out to welcome them in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic how many people come out to cheer you on, and any time of night or day, there's just always people coming out, and it makes a big difference when you've been out there. Just to realise that people do care and are following you. Might sound crazy. I'm sure you realise now on this leg, I realise how many people are following the race, but when you're out there, you have no concept of that. You're just by yourself.
It's your teammates, your team, and the people you're racing. I love that there's jet skis out as well this early in the morning. Although I don't think it's that cold in Lisbon. Seeing what all the sailors are wearing and hearing from Knut about how warm the waters are, it might not be that bad, which is nice after such a cold leg they've had.
Yeah, it's been a cold leg, and I mean, as the guys have said, it hasn't been a hard leg in terms of there being a lot of wind, but often on deck it can almost be colder when it's really light. I think a lot of the footage we've seen, people have been wearing balaclavas and quite a lot of gear, and even though it's been light winds, it's probably been pretty cold on deck.
There was one point where they were saying the ice limit. You can see our helicopter there just in shot, giving us a great view of the Armada and Brunel. But they were saying the Southern Ocean feeling doesn't have to exist in the Southern Ocean. It exists up here as well. I think that was, it might have even been Louis. He was really cold early on when it was foggy and freezing, and he was like upset by the fact that you think the Atlantic isn't actually as cold. But we had ice limits in effect this leg as well, and they sailed essentially right up to within 50 miles of the wreckage of Titanic. So it's pretty dreary up there and pretty cold, and there was an iceberg, which is the reason we had ice limits, keeping the fleet away from it. So while it wasn't a leg that had a lot of action or a lot of heavy wind, it was still a cold and tough crossing for these guys. Now they've got breeze. Not a lot, but some.
Yeah,
enough.
The Martha's drawing nicely now, and Trimmer's just been able to ease a little bit, I think, and probably breathe again after the last 10 minutes.
How far are they now from the finish line? Can you actually see the marks?
And it's the opposite direction. And now it's filling in for them. So they are happy chappy now, because essentially the breeze has filled in all the way between them and the finish line. And they are fully powered up. They're going to have to make a couple of tacks here to get inside that finishing mark, as far as I can see right now. But they're just getting lifted. They're just getting lifted. So if the breeze gets lifted more now, they will be able to lay the mark. But they still have probably, or should I say, half a mile left. But now they're moving fast. But what some actions happening in the back of the fleet? I mean, I just saw some comments here that Albimerica may have passed Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, and they're just behind Dongfeng Race Team. So it could be that we have the closest match between those boats. Huh?
Exactly. It is such a tight fight back there. It's unbelievable. The fight for essentially third place right now, the final podium position. It's huge. But we'll bring Brunel across the line, I think, and then we'll get right into the action with those guys. Mapfre looking like they could be secure in second, though, right?
Yeah, no, I think Mapfre looks pretty safe for that, as far as I can see. But if you can you see the camera on Brunel right now? The camera from our rib?
No, we're seeing. Yes, we are.
Yeah, so if the camera can poke to the sailing ship over there, that's the finish line. So you can show. I'm just pointing at the finish line here. You see my hand, and there's a sailing ship with 3 masts.
We're getting to it in 1 second. Yes. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So that sailing ship, that's next to the buoy. That's the finishing mark. So they're going to have to tack, at least make 2 tacks to get up to that finishing mark. They have to finish between the mark next to that sailing ship and the land on the left side. So
perfect.
So I would say 2 tacks at least to be made by Brunel here. But now the good news for them is clearly win all the way up to the finish line, and they're going to definitely make it.
Would you say it looks like from here that there's better wind out in the middle of the channel, so they'll go as far as they can before starboard ley line, maybe?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, on the other hand, if they go too far on the right side here, it looks like less wind again. It's just filling in, so it's a bit hard to say, but middle looks pretty good. Could be that they try to make this in 1 tack. It could be, because obviously getting too close to the race village as well is pretty light. But if I sing in from the bridge, it's filling it down the channel, so it's not across the channel or on an angle. So I think it's a pretty good direction for this area. So it should fill all the way into the shore side. But you know, what a beautiful timing. I mean, just to get the helicopter up, and the sun is up, and everybody's happy.
Gorgeous sunrise. It looks like it's
I
almost...
can see the guys on board are starting to relax a little bit now. You know, they just moved back and smiling. I see some smiling faces.
Is it almost ley line time here, Knut?
Well, no, they have to go a bit further to be ley line. You have to remember, when in this light wind, with the Code Zero, the big sail they have up in the front, they have very wide tack angles, very open angles, as we call it. So, I mean, they're going to have to go quite far before they will lay on starboard, if they want to lay on starboard. And I question whether they will actually go that far. Maybe they will. Could be that they try to make this in one tack. The wind has actually shifted more to the right here now, so Brunel is now steering more and more toward the other shoreline. So maybe they will make it in one tack if this wind continues to shift to the right. And obviously, when it comes to Mapfre, this is the perfect scenario for Brunel, because now Mapfre is basically straight downwind from them. Mapfre has to beat up wind to get here. So it's going to be impossible for Mapfre to overtake them now. That's going to really be impossible. And now Brunel is just furling in their Code Zero and setting up for that tack. So it will be interesting to see after they finish the tack if they will be able to lay on starboard. Bowie Becking is just turning the boat now, turning it around, through heads the wind, and now they start very soon to unfurl the Code Zero, as we call it, rolling it out again on the other side, grinding, maybe the last grind for a long time.
And what about the main buttons?
No,
Do you think they're filling? They popped easily there, so plenty of breeze.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good breeze. I could be that they make this on this last tack. It could be. It could very well be. They're very close to lay the mark, as we say, lay the line.
Lay the line, exactly.
It's always quite a nerve-wracking manoeuvre, that masthead tack. It sort of looks simple from here, but there's quite a lot that can go wrong in it. And for the driver, they've got to get through the wind there without a sail up in front. So, you know, if you unfurl too early there, it's going to prevent you being able to complete the tack. So that was a nice tack by Brunel, a nice safe tack, and that's all they need right now, just to be safe and get across the line clean.
And you can see he does a quick turn as well. Is that because it's a masthead Code Zero tack, or is it always the tack is turned that quickly?
Yeah, I mean, you basically can turn as fast as the grinders can furl. And as Knut said, this could be their last grind. I'm sure someone was shouting that to them, you know, come on boys, this is the last one. So I'm sure there's probably quite a bit of energy and adrenaline going on at the moment. So a nice quick furl and unfurl there.
And looks like enough breeze that no one's on the bow anymore, which is good, which is a good sign for a team headed to a finish line. Does it look like they'll be laying, Knut?
No, at the moment they're not laying. So, and it's simply because you know, with this big sail and in this light wind, you go so fast upwind that it's very hard to also sail high enough, or to point enough. So they're sailing very open angles. So they're going to have to actually go quite far on this starboard tack as well. I mean, I think they have to go pretty close to the race village, which is fun for all the people who are in there. I think there's quite a few who have managed to get out this early in the morning. I saw a few, I can see a few heads. So,
there's plenty of people that managed to get out on the boats though, right?
Yeah, no, there's lots of boats out there. Sailboats, power boats,
jet
police
skis.
boats. Yeah. So, no, lots of boats out there.
The tall ship's pretty as well, giving us some three-masted perspective on the race course. Okay,
Yeah,
so one final tack, you think, coming up to this finish line?
Yeah, at the moment, one final tack, but right now they're getting lifted again. So, I mean, in this light breeze, you only need a little bit of extra wind, like one more knot, and suddenly you can point a bit more again. And so, they changed angles very quickly. I mean, it's probably 15 degrees up now from where he started the attack. Now his wind is dropping again, and then he has to stay lower. So this is up and down all the time. But we are close. We are very close
Very, very
to the
close.
finish.
I think they might be able to taste beer on board now. That's what they're thinking about.
Yeah, they're immensely happy to do anything shortly. 6
But
seconds.
Bowie is smiling. He hasn't been smiling since I went out there, but now he's starting smiling.
Yay!
He's relaxing.
Well, it's good to see how fast they're going by actually the speed of the power boats behind. It's quite hard to see how fast the boat is just on their own, but you can see they've got some good speed with the power boats.
Yeah, lots of boats out here now. Actually, there's more boats coming out as well. No, this is going to be. This is most likely going to be one more tack. So I think they're going to go all the way up to the race village. It's a huge hospitality tent structure here.
Beautiful. We're
just in front of them.
We're just seeing that in the helicopter now. It's kind of perfectly lined up for a race village finish here. Brunel's going to give them a flyby. Hello, fans.
Exactly.
Yeah, as Knut said,
jumping under the boat.
Good for the fans, but it does look like not much wind riding by the race village.
Okay, now Brunel rolls into the next tack. So they're furling in the code 0. Everyone is grinding. And getting the last things. I can see Andrew Cape is grinding like crazy here, the navigator. He wants to get this across the line. That is for sure.
Well,
so they're rolling out the code 0. You know, actually, they may even have to make one more tack. They may not even lay.
It looks like they've tacked short there, but there's no wind. Essentially, what they were sailing into was no wind. I think they've just tacked out for better pressure, maybe.
No, yeah, I think they were a little bit afraid to get stuck, so they probably want to play it safe. But I think that Bowie can actually push the boat up where it is right now. He can actually squeeze some height out there, and I think he's going to lay. I think they're going to lay on this last tack. They're just going to make it on the finish line there.
And plenty of speed now. 6 knots, you think, Knut? 6 knots
yes,
of boat
absolutely. 6-7 knots. We are literally, what should I say? 3 boat lengths. 3 boat lengths from the 3 boat lengths from the finish line.
Perfect. God, that's a nice. I'm
taking a picture. I'm taking a picture of the finish line as we speak.
We should take you a photo of this heli shot we're seeing as well with the village in the
half
background.
Half a boat length left, and 3, 2, 1, and Team Brunel won leg 7 across the Atlantic. Congratulations! I have Jan Ari here, the CEO of Brunel. What is your feelings right now? This is an incredible moment. The guys have an enormous yeah. And it's so great. Great, fantastic. Congratulations to you, and congratulations to Bowie. And so very happy guys on board here, jumping up and down. And not often you see boys hugging as much as that, but they're very happy.
It looks like a huge relief, especially Timo there and Louis. Wow, well done for Team Brunel. Second win for them on a race leg of this Volvo Ocean Race, and winning leg 7, a huge achievement. Bauer must be happy.
Yeah, and I think probably a big sigh of relief to feel like they're back on form. You know, they've sort of been up there the last few legs, but then just haven't quite managed to clinch the podium positions at the end of the leg, and that's always frustrating. So to kind of, you know, win this leg with speed as well. You know, last 2 days really stretching out. It's just got to be a big sigh of relief, and going to help them feel confident going into the next 2 legs.
The final sprint legs, exactly. As Knut said, lots of happiness, some hugging, and then right back into it, code 0 going away.
That's always the problem, you know, you're all celebrating, but KP's probably telling the boys to hurry up. There's some shallow spots coming up, and they've got to get rid of that big sail.
Engine on Marina soon, and the mainsail still drawing. Well done for Brunel, and glad that the breeze was able to hold out to the finish line for this team. It's made it quite an interesting morning, though.
What a perfect finish.
But I think, although it might be over for them, it looks like there's still quite a lot of race left behind them at the moment.
Huge relief for these guys. They were able to pull it off with that. Look at KP, just, as you said, just sitting there probably checking out where the shallows are at this point. He's like, my job isn't over till it's over.
He's got to get the boat on the dock yet, and it's always more challenging than you think.
Doesn't look like anyone's actually, okay, maybe Bauer's got a hand on the wheel.
Bauer's got a very big smile on his face there. That's
smile.
good to see. I think he hasn't looked that relieved for a few legs.
It's the right time to have the CEO of the team on the boat behind. KP, you wouldn't even know that he just won this leg. He maybe is a little ball of nerves.
Sometimes I think it doesn't hit you either until you've kind of got to the dock and relaxed. You know, you're still in race mode at the moment, and yeah, I'm sure once he sits back and looks at the leg, he'll be able to smile.
Wow, just incredible. I am glad that there's daylight so we can properly see onto the boats. Quite an early morning for everyone there in Lisbon. But Code Zero coming down finally now. So is that it? Front sails actually come down first, and then you'll bring the mainsail down?
Yeah, if you have space. Our team are always keen to get packed up, or everyone's keen to get packed up as quickly as you can, and get to the dock.
Get to the food.
get
shower for
the food,
the families and
shower.
friends.
We have quite a lot to do as well when you get to the shore. We all have a sort of health questionnaire to do, and I think all the teams have different tests, but normally you'll have your doctor and physio give you some checks. So it's still probably at least an hour, if not more, from this moment until you will actually get to have some food and relax with your family. So yeah, always keen to pack up and try and get on with that process as quickly as possible.
At least it's a relief. You get across the line, there's a lot to do, but you're across the line, the racing is done at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, behind Team Brunel, as we've said, it is still a very, very close fight. Mapfre doing only 3 knots, so getting into the light air that Brunel was just struggling with. As we know, there's breeze in front of them in the finish line. And then behind Mapfre, where it gets interesting, you can see on the scores there, Dongfeng race team, 6 nautical miles from the finish, Team Alvimedica, 7, and Abu Dhabi 8. So Alvimedica has just been able to pass Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing in the past hour since we've been live. And I think this might happen repeatedly over the morning between these two boats. Quite a close race. And with Dongfeng only doing 1 knot still, it doesn't mean that they're not going to lose third either. So very interesting here for the final podium position. Although it looks like Alvimedica is actually in quite a strong spot there. Dongfeng has tacked onto starboard, I believe, but with Alvi closer to shore, doing 3 knots to Dongfeng's 1 knot. What do you think, Annie?
Yeah, it must be really tense on board right now for all the teams. Yeah, as you said, Alvimedica are further inshore, and we have been seeing the boats inshore having more pressure. So I think, Dongfeng must be nervous of that and have chosen to try and go back in there and just stay between Alvimedica and the finish as best they can, Staying offshore there could be dangerous. So although they might be giving up distance here, it's just safer to stay between your competitor and the finish line than to risk them having any kind of leverage on you.